Let's dedicate this video to seeing what this TMJ submodule is about. Just like the name indicates, it's a 3D submodule of Planmeca Romexis software where we can examine and analyze the temporomandibular joints of the patient. In this TMJ submodule, we can create a symmetrical view where we can see the joints of both sides of the patient at the same time. Let's see how we can get there. So firstly, we have opened this volume so that it gets opened here in the Explorer submodule. And this is where we can also align and adjust the orientation of the data before we move on to TMJ submodule. So we could browse through any of these slide stacks, look for the condyles, and then when we have this move rotate volume activated here in the toolbar, we could grab the volume with our right mouse button down and we could adjust the orientation of the data. So this we could do in order to get a more symmetrical view here in the TMJ submodule. So we could do these adjustments in any of these slice views before moving on to TMJ submodule. Once when we have done all the adjustments needed, we would need to click on this Export View to Other Tabs button once in order to bring this adjusted orientation to TMJ submodule. And then we could just click on this TMJ in order to move to this other submodule. I had already previously done a TMJ analysis for this test patient, but if you would first come here with the new patient data, you would probably just see this axial view here and maybe also this 3D rendered view as well. Let's redo the TMJ analysis so that we can see how we can do it. So we have here in the toolbar these TMJ tools, and we could use these for defining the posterior anterior lines on both sides. And then this lock icon here is for restricting the length on both sides so that they become symmetrical. So in order to start drawing these posterior anterior lines, we would first browse through this axial stack so that we see the condyles on the view. And then we could first activate this right side posterior anterior line tool, and we would bring it here on top of the condyle, and we would drag with the mouse a little bit downwards so that we could orientate the view in the right way. And with the mouse, we could also determine the actual orientation. And then we could repeat defining the lines also on the left side. So for that, we would activate this left side posterior anterior line, and then we would bring our mouse here and remember to drag a little bit downwards so that we get the right orientation for the line, and we can still adjust the orientation with the mouse. And now that we have this lock icon on the toolbar activated, we see that the length of these lines is restricted, so that we get automatically symmetrical length of lines on both sides. So then we could release our mouse and get these lines drawn here. If there would be the need to change the position of these lines, we could make sure that we don't have this move rotate volume activated here, and then we could just simply grab the lines with our left mouse button and we could move them to a new position. Let's then see what kind of views we have generated here. So like we see, we have symmetrical views on both sides by default, and it's also possible for us to adjust these views naturally. So firstly, we can recognize the different views by, for example, hovering our mouse on top of the views. So we see that when we put our mouse on top of a view, the respective line gets highlighted here. And we can also check the color indication. So here we have the green views, and then perpendicular to those we have the red views. And also on these slice views we have naturally the respective lines visible also to mark the position of other views. We could browse through the slices of these views by using the sliders on top of them. And naturally, for adjusting these slice views, all the normal controls apply also in this TMJ submodule. So firstly, naturally, we could use these grayscale adjustments in order to adjust the grayscale values of these slice views. And then next to all of these slice views, we can see this little wrench icon, and we could use that for adjusting the views below that. So we could open that in order to change the mutual distance between different slices. We could use this middle slider in order to change the width of the slices. And then in order to change the thickness of each single slice view, we could use this last slider here. And then we have this grid that we can use for specifying how many views of different slices we have visible at the same time. So we could hover our mouse here on top of the grid and select, for example, 2x2 grid and click, so that we would get 4 slices in this view. And like we see, it gets updated automatically here on the other side as well. Then finally, we could also use this move rotate volume in order to adjust the exact positioning of data on these views. So we could just simply grab the volume and we could move it around, and we could also rotate the volume with our right mouse button down. And when we have made the needed adjustments on the views, we can naturally use these annotation tools, measurement tools, and other annotation tools in order to measure and analyze these temporomandibular joints. And we could also save 2D views of what we see on the screen, as well as save 3D views so that we could get back to that view that we adjusted here. So this way we can analyze and examine the temporomandibular joints of the patient in the same view.